Tanse, Anin. For those of you that don't know me, my spirit name is Pimose Mayengan, which means walking wolf in the Ojibwe language. You know, what you just saw right here is a celebration of life. When we have our celebrations, such as powwows, we do what we call a grand entry. And the grand entry is the first song that's sung before all the other dancing takes place normally. What ends up happening is these dancers, they come into that circle. And what that circle represents is life. It represents life because in our traditional way of life, we believe when you were brought into this world, you were automatically put into that circle of life. And when that happens, your journey on here, earth begins. And when it begins, there's going to come a time where our time here will be done. But we continue, but in another place. We move into that place, what we call the spirit world. You might refer to that as heaven. But when we get there, life continues for us till eternity. And whether they follow the traditional way of life or whether they follow the Christian way of life, it doesn't matter. It's still the same. So I just wanted to open up with a song. And that song translates in the Cree language as I am so happy to see you when you dance for people. Because that's what we do. We sing and we dance for the people who can't. And that's what our elders tell us. We do that. And we do that to the best of our ability that we can possibly do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be asking a good friend of mine, an Ojibwe from Manitoba. And this is Gail Pruden, and she's going to be showcasing what we call the jingle dress style dance. Now, what ends up happening and how this actually came to be was that a long time ago, there was a young lady who was very ill. She originally came from a place called Whitefish Bay, Ontario. And what ended up happening was she was very young, but she was very ill that nobody could identify. Therefore, they couldn't cure the sickness that she had. So what ended up happening was it was their grandfather who ended up having this dream. And in this dream, he was shown a dress, and he was given instructions to make that dress. So he went back to his community, and he told all of the elders about that dream. So they all got together, and when they got together, they ended up getting together, making that dress, and they learned the songs that it was supposed to be sung, and they did that ceremony. And when they started that ceremony, that young girl couldn't even walk. But by the time they finished that ceremony, she was dancing on her own and completely healed. And she lived to be almost 90 years old. And I remember the day almost about 30 years ago that she passed away. So we honor the healing power of what this dress does to the Anishinaabe people. And thank you to the Ojibwe people of the Lake of the Woods area for bringing that healing dress to us. So with that being said, I'm going to ask Gail to showcase her style of dance. And this is another song that I composed. It's a song that I composed in the Ojibwe language. It says, Ogichita Kwe, Jezonge Gabuwe. It talks about those warrior women standing strong. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls and children of all ages, this is Gail Pruden. Ladies and gentlemen, Gail Pruden, yay! Okay, so now I'm going to ask my lovely wife. We've been together, 32 years, longer than that. But I'm going to ask her to come over here for a minute. So if you can see, this is what we call the woman's traditional style dance. It's a very stationary dance. And when you do this dance, it was said a long time ago, when the warriors would go out, whether it was for a battle, whether it was for a hunt, they would come back and they'd do a celebration of dance. And those women would be dancing just on the outside of the circle, giving thanks to the Creator, giving thanks to the Creator for bringing their loved ones home safely. Now, one thing that you don't see if you go to the Museum of Man and Nature is a woman there when it comes to that display that they have on a buffalo hunt. One of the things that they don't have is a woman there because a long time ago, the women and the men had different responsibilities. And some of the responsibilities of the man was to make that kill. But once that kill was done, it was the woman's responsibility to look after that. I'm going to ask my wife, Rhonda, to turn around. And if you can see over here, she's got different things on her belt. You'll see she's got a thing here for her knife, her number one tool. You'll also see that she's got a thing here for her medicines, miigwech. Now, when it came time for that buffalo to be put down, the women would come and they would offer tobacco to the spirit of that buffalo. They would offer tobacco to the spirit of that buffalo and say, thank you. Thank you for giving up your life so that me and my family could live ours. The buffalo alone gave us food, shelter, and clothing. So it was very important to us, and that's why they tried to kill off the buffalo, to try and get rid of us a long time ago. There's a big story about that, but I won't get into that. So when it comes time for the ladies to do that, they say thanks to that spirit, and that spirit makes his way up to the spirit world. Today we're going to do a song for my wife, and she's also a singer. She's on a couple or a few albums that I have, and this is one of my newer songs, and it's also got the words Ogichitakwe in it. And in case you didn't know, that's an Ojibwe word for warrior woman. And this song thanks our warrior women. And it also acknowledges them. So it's Ogichitakwe, Miigwech Kinanakomen. You're acknowledging them. So I'm going to give her a song for that. So ladies and gentlemen, my longtime life partner, Rhonda James. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, that was my wife, Rhonda James. Okay, this young man I'm going to ask to come over here. His name is Wayne Ruby. Originally from Lake of the Woods area. Spent pretty much his whole life in Winnipeg. He dances what we call the old style grass dance. You know, if you're at a powwow, they have... Sometimes in our competition powwows, they have two different competitions. They have a contemporary style, freestyle, but they also have an old style. And Wayne has been dancing pretty much his whole life. And we've met each other many, many years ago. And he's been helping me out dancing and singing with the Walking Wolf singers and dancers since he was about 12 years old. So that's quite a few years. But this particular style of dance that he does is what we call the grass dance. Now, if you're an Ojibwe, there's a story about a grass dance society. And, you can also hear that same story with our Sioux brothers and sisters. But a long time ago, when you talk to the Sioux people, they talk about that grass dance society. And they talk about those warriors that were there to protect the community when anything came in. And so they would protect the community. And they would be almost like the security. And they would be the ones to go fight that battle. And I remember an old friend of mine who passed on, Mr. Mike Hotane, talk about this particular style of dance. And he says, a long time ago, these grass dancers would hide in the grass from the enemy and you wouldn't be able to see them. And he also said a long time ago is that's where that saying, the snake in the grass, come in, because they were that good and deadly when it comes to defending. So, ladies and gentlemen, he is a Ojibwe from Lake of the Woods, Mr. Wayne Ruby. Once again, that was Mr. Wayne Ruby. What I'm going to do is I'm going to ask my first cousin, Lawrence Stevenson. Lawrence Stevenson is his dad and my dad are brothers. Now, the particular style of dance that Lawrence dances is what we call the Northern Style Men's Traditional. Now, what separates the Northern style compared to the Southern style is that they have feathers on the back, which we call a bustle. And if you go down south around the Oklahoma area, you'll notice that the dancers there that dance the traditional, they do not have those. And it was said a long time ago, and it's still said today, that when it came time for this particular dance, and the story that goes with this particular dance, is that it was done a long time ago, after a battle, after a hunt, and sometimes even after a vision quest. It was done. They would come back and they would dance and they would tell a story in their dance, a story of the different things that they did while they were out there doing what needed to be done, whether it had to do, like I said again, with fighting a battle on the battlefield or being out on a hunt. So it was a storytelling dance that most of the tribes up here in the north, in Treaty 1 territory also, is that's the story that they tell about this particular style of dance. And I'm very happy that I'm able to have one of my relatives dance and be part of Walking Wolf Singers and Dancers. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is my first cousin, Lawrence Stevenson. Yay! Ooh, all right, that was Cousin Lauren. All right, so you know what? It's not easy to do what I do. But let me tell you, it took a lot of years to get to where I am. Every song that you're hearing today, I composed myself. And I have 7 different albums out. A lot of people don't know that. But, you know, one of the things that I tell everybody, because I do run power clubs and I've been doing that for over 25 years, is to always make sure you have water, nippe. Because if you don't, you're going to get dehydrated. And I've seen a lot of people, when you're dancing these different styles of dance that you saw here today, these guys have to be out when it's like 30, 35 plus. And you can imagine dancing. You know, my wife alone, her outfit probably weighs about 50 pounds. So it's when it gets wet, it's probably about 75 pounds. You know, so it's hard to do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask, okay, dancers, come on back in here. You know, what I want to do is I want to, once again, acknowledge each dancer here and their contribution. So once again, we'll start over here with Gail Pruden. You want to, yay, Jingle Dress Style dancer. My wife, Rhonda James, yay. My good friend, almost like my son, Wayne Ruby, yay. And my first cousin, Lauren, yay. You know, one of the things that we do is, as First Nations people, you heard of Indian time. Well, when it came time for us to do anything, especially ceremony, we didn't have a clock and say, okay, we're going to do a ceremony. We're going to start at 1 o'clock. We're going to be finished by 2. That doesn't happen. So if you're going to ask for something, make sure you know what you're asking for before you ask. Because we don't use a clock when it comes time for ceremony, especially when that takes place. It takes as long as it has to take. But one thing I can say is that when we start something, we always finish it. And that's what we have to do when it comes to ceremony. Once we start it, we can't just say, okay, we're done. We have to complete it and then finish it. At the beginning, we open up that circle with what we call the grand entry. Now what we're going to do is we're going to close that circle with what we call the exiting and closing up of that circle. A lot of times what you do is you go to a powwow, they will start the powwow with a grand entry. And a lot of times when you're done the powwow for the day or even the weekend, they'll close up that circle that they made where all the dancing takes place. So I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, you know, thank you for letting us be part of this celebration. And, you know, and we are all treaty people. And I'd like to say that loud and proud, being from Treaty 1 territory. So I'm very honored that we had an opportunity to be here to showcase the different styles of dances that we have, along with the songs that I've composed and I can share with you. So let me have a sip of water. I'll start a song. I'm going to ask my cousin Lawrence to go twice around and then out. All right? Little bit of powwow humor. What do you want to do with your life? I want to rock! All right, we're going to rock to the power drum. So, ladies and gentlemen, once again, thank you so much for having us. We are the Walking Wolf Singers and Dancers. This song is another original song, and we will see you again. There's no way to say goodbye, but until we meet again, ahoo. Miigwech and I go say, ladies and gentlemen, we are the Walking Wolf Singers and Dancers. Aho.